Hi everyone, I'm Selly Gouw, and today I am going to talk in English. No, just okay. Let me redo that. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Selly Gouw, and today I have a guest star with me again, as you can already see from the title. And today I am going to talk fully in English, obviously. Today's topic will be very interesting because we're going to talk about studying in America. You know, everybody's dream. Wow. Claudia here, my friend. She graduated from University of Missouri. She took journalism as her major. Interesting, isn't it, you guys? I am proud to say that she recently launched a podcast.
So I recently launched my podcast. It's called Head in the Clouds, and I'm delving into topics about adulthood and culture and identity, bringing my experiences from studying abroad and like being Malaysian all together, and just talking about stuff.
So nice. You will hear my voice over there like in the second episode. And so today let's just get started on today's video. Out of so many places, right, why did you choose to study in America?
My mom studied in the US. She also studied in like the Midwest area. So when I was growing up, it was kind of already like in our heads, like me and my sister, that like we would be studying abroad in the US. I think like because like she just kind of implied that, or like she suggested it to us from quite young. And then we actually attended like a private school. You know, they actually had like a program for like American people who want to go to America to study, and you know, we were supposed to study for like the SATs and stuff. Then it became IGCSE, so like it's kind of just like international school these days. I just kind of have been preparing for that my whole life. So I feel like I didn't really choose myself, but like I don't regret it.
But I feel like a lot of people kind of like fantasize on you know, furthering their study in the US, in America, because you know, we consume a lot of Western media, especially when we were young. We grew up with that. Do you think that impacts, you know, one's decision to study over there? Yeah,
for sure. Like growing up too, like I watched a lot of like Friends and I watched a lot of those kind of like sitcoms, and then it just kind of felt like America was, you know, they always call it land of the free, you know, kind of like American dreams. And I wanted to be a writer. Like I still want to be a writer, like fiction writing. And you know, like a lot of stories is like based in the West and like mostly like America and stuff. So even like when I was younger, I would write stories, and then all my characters would be like American. Like even though at that time I'd never been to America, like I don't have any American friends, I just write American stories, even though like it's not like like I can't really relate that much. But because of like all the books I read, and then like all of the media I consumed, I think like it was just like the norm. So like I really wanted to go there so I could create content as well that is like American, you know, kind of like that.
But what was it actually like studying there and living there? Is it any different from what you imagined?
I have to say that my experience is, because I studied in Missouri, which is very different from like, you know, the city, like East Coast, West Coast, you know. But I actually really appreciate my time spent in the Midwest. I think it's quite a unique experience.
Why do you say so?
This is like one of like my first memories when I went there, so it's quite prominent in my mind. Is I didn't want to stereotype like white people, because like, you know, like in the few years before I went there, like I didn't just keep romanticizing about America. Of course, like I knew like from social media, I already know that like, you know, they can be ignorant or they are quite like basic or whatever like that. Okay, but I don't want to just stereotype them to be that way. But when I went on campus for the first time, and then it was is this thing called like Bid Day or Rush Day. It's basically for like the Greek life, which is like the sororities and the fraternities and all that. And I passed by like one of the Greek houses, the sorority houses, and then literally like they just all look so basic. They all had like the same hair, the same baju, and then like literally everything the same. It just like scared me because there were so much of them, like just like copy paste. Like I'm so sorry to say this about you. It's about them, but seriously. And then like I was like, okay, well, I haven't met them individually, so let's not judge so fast. But then my first class I went, I was like the only like Asian person. I was like technically like only person of color, I think, during that first class. And then I felt like so awkward, you know, like I felt like all of these sorority girls, because they wear their t-shirt, you can tell they're from the same sorority house, they like don't really want to talk to me. And then I don't know if it's just because like they wanted to hang out with their own friends. Sometimes I think that they're worried that like, oh, maybe if she's an international student, she can't really communicate that well. So I don't really want to like pressure or like burden her.
Can you tell us what actually is a sorority house is, and why they have to live over there, and why did you know, choose?
I have no idea, honestly. Like they're like a club basically. They're like a club, and then each of like the different, like you have like Kappa Kappa Alpha or whatever. Like all these Greek letters, right? And then they have all over US. Sometimes they even have international ones. Like they have different sorority like organizations, and then if you have that sorority on your campus, it's called like a chapter. So like you have that chapter. It's really confusing.
Oh my God, it's so confusing.
Yeah. It's really just like a club for girls to, or boys, like for fraternities. They like make friends. Some of them are academic, so some of them are like, oh, for accounting students, so you join to like make friends. And but actually it's really about like making friends and having a community and like having networks, you know.
Because I've read a lot on like American novels about like sorority, and you know, I was like, what is it? I can't really imagine.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a bunch of girls living together, and they sound mean.
Yeah, actually, I have an interesting experience, because for one of my classes, it was a cultural, like cross-cultural class, and the assignment is to go outside of your comfort zone. Some people like went to like mosque or like church or anything, but like I was like, that's not really like that uncomfortable for me though. So I just decided to go to like a sorority event. So it was so scary to me, like seriously, because like I didn't know anyone, and it turns out I wasn't even supposed to be there because it was like a private function. And then I bought a ticket, but I thought it was the ticket to the event, but actually the ticket is just for like the lucky draw. Seriously, like everyone in there, like I didn't see another Asian like at all, so I felt so awkward. And then yeah, it was quite interesting. It was very weird and awkward, but yeah.
Wow, must be very uncomfortable though. Like if I imagine myself being there by myself somewhere like very different, I would feel like naked. I would What were some of the biggest culture shock that you experienced when you moved there?
I think there's really no big moment that was like culture shock, because you know, these days with internet and everything, you kind of expect a bit already. But I think there's a lot of like little things that like start to compile that make you feel like, oh, that's like, it's like kind of weird. Okay, so this is like one of the really small things, but people there really do like keep the door open for you. Literally, like if you're going to like class or you're going to mall or anything, they will like look behind them and like keep the door open for you.
Oh, the
but,
manners.
But here I really don't see that, and it's quite weird if you keep the door open for someone you don't know. Like if it's your friend, then like yeah, but like usually you don't stand there and wait like 4 to 5 seconds for like a stranger to come through. But one of my first like moments that was shocking for me is I was actually in New York. I was still traveling before like my classes started. We were at like Applebee's or something, and then this guy kept the door open for me, and he was like holding it like kind of weird like that, so like I had to cross under his arm. So I didn't want to make it awkward for him, so I like passed by quickly, like I like kind of jogged through, and I just like give him like a polite like smile and a nod. And then after I passed through, he turned around and he was like, "You can't even say thank you? Like I kept the door open for you and couldn't even say thank you?" And so like yeah, but after I went there, I seriously say like thank you for like everything. Yeah,
shocking moment.
Yeah, if like waitress brings me anything, I say thank you like constantly. But I feel like here often I see like when like waitress puts down something for you, you just like kind of like, you don't really regard them. You're just like, oh, okay, you know.
I always try to say thank you to like waitresses or even the cleaners, but it's definitely not a habit over here as well.
Yeah,
like, a lot of people just kind of like ignore, like it's just like they're kind of like treat it as if that's their job, you know? When it comes to people standing in front of you to keep the door open for you, I feel like if it's right in front of you, like if you were right behind them, I feel like it's okay. But if they have to wait for, like you said, 4 to 5 seconds, that don't really happen.
Yeah.
Often over here.
Yeah, no, I really, like, seriously though, like, maybe it's also because it's college, there's a lot of doors, because it's classrooms. But like, I would really like just stand there, sometimes like 6, like almost like 10 seconds, and then like the other person will see me, and then they'll like run over and they're like, oh my god, thank you, you know, like yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, no problem, you know.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's so nice of them.
Yeah, but another thing there that like I don't really quite like is like the tipping, like tipping system.
Oh yeah. A lot of people told me this.
Yeah, because actually it's not that I'm stingy or anything, but I just think that the waitresses and everything shouldn't need to rely on tips to make a good wage, you know, because a lot of them, they only get paid $3 to $4, so they need to rely on your tips. So I think it's not a great system. That's why.
Yeah. How big it is for you to have to tip them?
Usually higher in big cities, so they will actually write at the bottom of your receipt. Sometimes, not all the times, they will have the 15%, 18%, 20%. So you can choose between that. Yeah. So it actually really comes up to quite a lot, because a lot of Malaysian restaurants these days, they implement 10% service charge already. Yeah, so it's already like calculated anyway. But there, like, it's like it goes up to 20. Some cities they will put 22% everything. But you don't have to follow. You can just fill in anything you want. But then okay, like actually for me, sometimes I feel like there's this stereotype about of like international students and like Asian people in general for being quite stingy. So like sometimes if I don't really tip well, I feel like I'm perpetuating like a stereotype, and I'm like, yeah.
And I heard if you don't really give them enough tip, then next time you come, they won't really like, you know, lie on you.
This is true, especially for Postmates, because Postmates delivery service. You also, it's very, very important to tip delivery people. It's actually like considered quite rude if you don't tip like delivery people, because I don't know, it's just like the service of it, you know, like they kind of rely on it as well. I don't feel as awkward because when you tip, it's after they give you your food and you can do it through your phone. So like sometimes I don't tip that much, but they actually know, because they like they keep record, and then they can like rate you as a customer as well. So like if your rating gets quite low, then it will seriously take so long for you to find someone to deliver your food. Yeah, it's quite sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, the system there is so different.
Yeah.
That's shocking to me as well. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't really know in details about it. Is there anything else like that is very, I would say, maybe disturbing or just overall shocking?
There really isn't any that like I can like seriously say. There's just so many like little things, like street lights. I don't know why they don't really have that many street lights. It's kind of weird. And then like just stuff that like I was surprised they didn't know about. Like I went to the office and then like no one knew what prawn was. You know prawn, right?
Prawn, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is in Malay. We call it udang.
Yeah, udang. Yeah, udang.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so like I went to work and everyone at work is American. So I was like saying something about prawn, and then they're like, prawn, what is that? And I'm like, you know, it's like shrimp, but it's prawn. But they know shrimp, but they really like have never heard of prawn, and they don't know like certain words like lorry. You know, they just call it like a truck or something.
I also don't use
really?
lorry.
Yeah, lorry. Or like, you know, just like random little things like
maybe that is British, isn't it?
Yeah, but like sellotape, I don't know if you know like sellotape.
Sellotape, yeah, I do know.
They also don't. They were like, you're so weird. They're like, I have no idea. They're like, oh, you must be like making that up. And also another thing is like, you know how like nowadays it's like the trend to say like period, right? So I used to say full stop. You know, we call that full stop. I don't know if you call that full stop or not.
Some people call it full stop.
Yeah.
Some people here call it period.
And like,
but the formal way, I would say it is full stop.
Yeah, and like no one knew what I was talking about, but like they didn't tell me. Like my coworkers, they didn't tell me. They just like and then one day I asked them like, actually, do you know what I'm saying? And they're like, not really. And I'm like, oh my god.
So bad.
Yeah.
So they call it full stop, not period.
No,
they don't really know.
they only call it period. They don't call it full stop. So when I say full stop, like they didn't understand me. They just like.
So where is it from?
I guess it's British, but.
Oh my god. But it means that we are more exposed when it comes to like English, you know, like in general.
Yeah.
Rather than they just focus solely on American English, or you know, British just solely focus on British English. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. Oh, if British people want to order fries, they keep calling them chips.
Chips. Yeah.
They would get the wrong order every single time. They forget.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. And it's just a lot of like little things like that just like start to kind of make things like feel like kind of like, because it's only slightly different, so you're like, huh, like am I just being weird, or like am I forgetting, or like it's just completely different. Like it's sometimes like I like question myself. I'm like, maybe I'm just the only person who is like wrong.
How about when you moved back to Malaysia? Is there any like reverse culture shocks or stuff like that?
Actually, yes. Yeah.
After a while.
I think I want to talk to you about this on my podcast as well, so like people should go listen. But like, because I didn't expect me to feel like that, because I feel like, oh yeah, like I mean, like I still keep in contact with like my Malaysian friends, or like I still come home like once in a while. I don't think it's that different, but it actually like is really different, especially when it comes to working style, I think. And also like just like little things as well, like I mentioned. But it's like, for me, the place that I feel like the most culture shock is at work, you know, with like there's still like so much kind of like emphasis placed on like age, and like the hierarchy of like age, and like having to respect people older than you, and then being treated like a child and everything. But maybe that's just me, like at my job. Okay, I have to say this is like within like my circle, and like I would have to say maybe it's like a Chinese Malaysian thing as well, I'm not sure. But you know, like they will comment a lot about like your body. They will comment a lot about weight.
Yeah, like hey, I haven't seen you in a while, why you get so fat now?
Yeah, it's so like, and this is like a topic that usually is like so sensitive in the West, that's like you don't talk about it unless you know you are having a conversation about weight. But like you don't comment about someone's weight, and you don't comment about it behind their backs either to other people, you know. Like you don't like go to your other coworker and say like, oh my god, so and so is like so fat, right? Because they will feel like, well, huh, like why are you saying that, you know, like but seriously, here it's like people are telling you like, oh, like you should lose some weight, or you should come join me in this diet, you know, that kind of stuff. It's just like quite shocking, because like you know, I feel like, yeah, that's inappropriate to me, like especially at work and stuff, but to these people it's like considered just small talk. Yeah.
Obviously this kind of conversation started to appear because they don't really know what to talk about. That's the first. And the second, I think that is just our beauty standard. Like, you know, the pretty type is the slim type, and the one that is preferably white, or they have fair skin. And what else? Yeah, that's it.
The way people talk about race here is also quite shocking. Like they will really just tell you, oh, that person is like Malay, or you know, so and so. And I'm like, okay, and so what? Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you telling me this? Like, I don't need to know that. Like, it's just like a client or something. Like, I don't have to know that. But to them, it's like, I don't know. Like, it just changes everything, kind of thing.
But I feel like I remember you guys always emphasize a lot about race, especially like if there is a form, you have to fill it. You have to fill it up with your race. Like, let's say your race is Chinese, then you take the Chinese one, or others, stuff like that. And I feel like that shapes the whole point of view of how you think about other people as well. Like, oh, okay, I am Chinese. Like, I am just in this box. Like, there's no one full, like a sense of like, I'm just Malaysian.
Right. Actually, like, speaking about that too, I was just talking about this the other day to like my coworker, and I was saying, I was asking her, I was like, oh, so is it like the norm to put like your photo on the resume? And she's like, yeah, of course. Like, you know, you want to show people how you look like, blah blah blah, like that. And she was like saying like, oh, isn't that normal for you? And like, I can't speak for all of America, but like usually, especially in like, my professors always tell me it's like very frowned upon, because it encourages like discrimination just based on how you look and like your race, you know, like. But I feel like here, you know, like they want to see your face and they will judge you based on that.
Yeah, I think there is both pros and cons. Like I feel like it depends on where you work at. If the work requires you to look a certain way, let's say like flight attendant, you know, of course I feel like that would be more appropriate if you put your photo and everything. But if it's like any other jobs, yeah, it depends as well.
Kind of different.
But I do understand where you're coming from, like why you said that.
Because I didn't put my face on my resume, and I feel like if I put my face, it just looks a bit weird, and I don't really have any space left.
I did put my face because we were taught like that in Malaysia. Like there is this one specific subject that taught us how to create a good resume and stuff like that. And yeah, it is recommended that you put your face, your photo. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in general, one of the other like differences in my life too that I feel like is kind of a bit weird for myself is that when I was in US, you know, I would always obviously talk about Malaysia and like explore my culture and tell Americans about my culture, and I would like be quite I would critique a lot about like American culture, like the individualism, you know, like the partisanship, that kind of stuff. But like now that I come back, I feel so annoying. Like I feel like I'm always talking about US to other people. Like I hear myself and I'm like, oh my god, like what am I doing? Like aren't I supposed to be like proud of like my Malaysian culture? Like why do I keep talking about US?
I understand, because that is also how I feel. Like I spent my 4 years over there in Malaysia, so I feel like that is also part of me. So if people keep on saying like, why do you keep on talking about Malaysia in your channel, I feel like that is up to me. I just want to share my thoughts, my opinions, my experiences. Why can't I? So it's fine. You are shaped by those experiences in the past that you experienced. So you don't have to feel sorry, because they don't know how you feel like as well.
True.
Yeah. Once they go through the same thing, but nobody can, you know, like nobody can go through the same exact thing as you do. As we do. So yeah, just let it be.
That's good advice.